mechanics of glass forming mixtures with M.C. Marchetti. She was a professor of theoretical physics at the Raman Research Institute and retired from there in 2023. Our areas of research are non-equilibrium statistical mechanics and quantum information. She has applied statistical mechanics to the context of soft matter and studied DNA elasticity and active particle dynamics. Her work in the area of quantum Brownian motion has led to predictions testable in ultra-cold atom labs. She also has a passionate interest in science popularization and enjoys doing art in her leisure time. She is one of the coordinators of the ICTS RRI Math Circle, aimed at encouraging and nurturing mathematical talent in children, and was one of the organizers of the Summer School for Women in Physics at ICTS in 2023 and 2024. So, madam, you have got 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes to deliver your lecture, where we'll be expecting especially your journey down the memory lane, a scientific journey, and there will be 10 to 15 minutes of question and answer. With these words, I am welcoming you on behalf of the outreach cell of the university and the entire university. So now the platform belongs to you. So let us welcome Professor Dr. Supunna Sinha for today's lecture. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to thank Professor Nachiketa Sharma and the other organizers for inviting me to talk at this forum. So the title of my talk is Down Memory Lane, a Scientific Journey. So this is basically the outline of my talk. I'll start with my family background and the influence that it has had on me. My mother, Purnima Sinha's science. Then I'll dwell on my scientific journey and end with a few concluding remarks. So just to give you a background of my family, Dr. Naresh Chandra Sengupta, my maternal grandfather, was a constitutional lawyer and a progressive writer who had written over 65 books and several essays in Bengali as well as in English, some of them on women's education. He was deeply committed to the cause of women's education, and it was reflected in his commitment to enthuse his daughters towards to receive a master's degree with thesis in chemistry from Calcutta University. My mother, Purnima, who was born in 1927, was the first woman to receive a PhD degree in physics from Calcutta University. And in fact, from the records, it appears that Purnima was the first woman to receive a PhD degree from a university in India. Prior to her, Bibha Chaudhuri, who was older than her, she had received a PhD degree, but it was from outside India, from the University of Manchester. This emphasis on focusing on higher education for women influenced the next generation as well. These exceptionally emancipated women have shaped my worldview, and I grew up to believe that such women are the norm rather than the exception. So just to give a timeline of Purnima Sinha's life and science, she was born in 1927 in Calcutta. In 1947, she received her BSc degree from Scottish Church College, Calcutta University. In 1950, she received her MSc in physics from Calcutta University. Between 1951 and 1955, she did research in Science College, Calcutta, under Professor S.N. Bose of Bose statistics fame. In 1953, she got married to Surajit Chandra Sinha, an anthropologist. In 1956, she received her DPhil. She was the first woman to be awarded a doctorate in physics from Calcutta University. From 1960 to 1961, she worked at the Geological Survey of India. Between 63 and 64, she was at the Biophysics Lab at Stanford University. Between 64 and 66, she was at the J.C. Bose Institute. Uh, 1967 to 1986, she was at the Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, and she passed away in 2015 in Bangalore. So, just to continue further on Purnima Sinha, she did her schooling in Lake School for Girls, a school established by her eldest sister, Sushama Sen Gupta. She started her MSc as one of the first post independence batches, the only woman in a class of 60. So it happened to be the golden era of physics in Calcutta. She was taught by stalwarts like S.N. Bose, M.N. Saha, N.R. Sen, Shishir Mitra. And she did her special paper on X-ray crystallography, and it was taught by Satyendranath Bose. Later joined Professor S.N. Bose as a PhD research scholar working on X-ray analysis of clay minerals of India. And this research was funded by Assam Oil Company. Here I would like to make a remark. It was a very early instance of basic science being supported by an industry very early on. So, and she fabricated her own instruments, including the X-ray tube from scratch, often using scrap material from World War II surplus that was scattered around the streets of Calcutta. That that's how she built her instrument. Building one's instruments was the culture that was established in Bose's lab, and she published her research results in Nature. So, just to give a backdrop, S.N. Bose had traveled to Paris in 1924 and worked in Maurice de Broglie's X-ray laboratory to learn experimental techniques of X-ray diffraction analysis, and later set up X-ray crystallography labs in both Dhaka and later in Calcutta. Just to give a understanding of the timeline, Watson and Crick discovered the double helical structure of DNA using Rosalind Franklin's X-ray diffraction photograph in 1953. This was around the time that Purnima Sinha was working on her thesis project of X-ray analysis of clays in Calcutta. So this is an excerpt from her article in Lilavati's Daughters. Uh, so this is what she writes. Around the middle of 1951, I started working on my PhD with Professor S.N. Bose at the Khaira Laboratory in Kolkata. He advised me to carry out an investigation on the structure of clay from various parts of India. He suggested that I could use techniques of thermal and chemical analysis along with X-ray scattering, and also suggested that I fabricate my own X-ray tube of the Coolidge kind so that the parts could be dismantled and put together at will. At that time, about 10 of us were involved in experimental research at the Khaira laboratory. Each of us used to fabricate his or her own instrument according to individual need. This was an unwritten rule in our laboratory. The more experienced research students used to initiate newer students in this mode of doing research, and Professor Bose would routinely keep track of the problems we faced in the lab as well as our progress. There was constructive cooperation between fellow students and people working in related departments. We all enjoyed the excitement of doing science in this manner. So this is the first page of my mother Purnima Sinha's thesis on X-ray and differential thermal analysis of Indian clays. And here you can see that her name is written as Purnima Sen Gupta, which was her maiden name. So because she was not married at that time. It was submitted in November 1955, and she received her PhD in 1956. Here is a photograph of Bose's lab, all the people in Bose's lab at that time. SN Bose at the center of the photograph, and my mother, this is Purnima Sinha. So just to continue on her later work, between 1963 and 64, she worked with the biophysics group at Stanford related to the origin of life, which is connected with the idea which was originally proposed by J.D. Bernal that clay surfaces may have been the substrate for the origin of pre-biogenic polymers. So she continued to work in this area in Bose Institute in the next 2 years. In CGCRI, she continued work on clay mineral X-ray analysis applications to ceramic color, and she did a very imaginative and unusual project. She worked on an interesting project collaborating with traditional potters of Bankura on ceramic glaze. So it was a genuine collaboration between the indigenous knowledge of the potters in Bankura and scientists working in a national laboratory. She was also inspired by S.N. Bose, and she was very deeply committed to the issue of science writing in Bengali and popularizing science. So here are a few snapshots of the book covers of her popular science writing. Uh, Mono Jorobostu is the Bengali translation of Schrodinger's Mind and Matter into Bengali, and this is the central one is Bigyan Sadhana Dharay Satyendranath Bosu. This is a biography of Bose written in Bengali for the popular audience. And Amar Kotha is basically a transcription of interviews with Bose over an extended period of time, which she transcribed and put together as a book. And finally, she received an award for science popularization in Bengali. You can see this plaque. This is called Acharya Satyendranath Bosu Sriti Phalak Memorial Plaque in honor of her science writing contribution in Bengali. This is for popularization of science. And around the end of her life, her what showed up is her deep interest in biology continued beyond her biophysics research days. So her last piece of work was around 80 plus, and it had to do with an excellent translation, Bengali translation of this book, Unraveling DNA, the most important molecule of life by Kamenetsky, which unfortunately could not be published. Just to give you a backdrop, what happened around that time, I myself was doing theoretical research on DNA elasticity from the point of view of statistical mechanics around that time. And I used to actually discuss my research with my mother. And in that context, I had brought this book home from the library. And my mother noticed it and got very excited, started reading it passionately. And amazingly, she managed to translate it into Bengali with all the technical, various technical scientific terms. And by then, biophysics has also evolved considerably compared to the time that she had done her research. Amazingly, she managed to translate it, and she had very poor eyesight at that time. So in spite of that, she did it. So this was quite a remarkable piece of work. So I would like to mention that there is a biography of my mother written by Rajinder Singh and Suprakash Roy. Uh, the title of the book is Clay, Craft, Music and Science, Purnima Sinha's Life. So what I have given you is just a very small slice of her life, really. I mean, apart from being a scientist, she was as much of an artist, um, musicologist, and so on and so forth. And in every area, she has left a stamp. So I just would like to go over my scientific journey briefly now. So I did my BSc in physics from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Then I did my master's and PhD, joined MS PhD at Syracuse University. And uh, I received my PhD in 1992. It's called on the topic of collective dynamics in dense fluid mixtures with Professor Maria Cristina Marchetti. I did some postdoctoral research at IISc RRI, and I was also a visiting faculty at HRI. I've been a faculty at RRI and retired in 2023 as professor of theoretical physics. And broadly, my scientific journey, my research has focused mainly on in the realm of equilibrium and non-equilibrium statistical mechanics, with applications in soft matter and biological physics, quantum Brownian motion, where I've connected to ultra cold atom experiments, and I collaborate with ultra cold atom experimental physicists. And another area of interest for me is decoherence and quantum to classical transition. In addition, I have collaboratively worked in the area of quantum information, soft matter analog of quantum gravity, and also worked on a strategy for
Madam, somehow you are disconnected. Hello? 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 We are not able to hear you. କଣ ହେଲା ରେ ପଳେଇଗଲି କି ଦେଖ ତ ଟିକେ ସେପଟେ ବି ସେମିତି ହଉଛି
ସେ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ସେ ନେଟ୍ଟା ସ୍ଲୋ ଅଛି ଆମ ଏପଟେ।
ଓହୋ କେତେ ଠିକ ବଢିଆ ଚାଲିଥିଲା
ନେଟ୍ଟା ସ୍ଲୋ ଅଛି।
ଆଉ ଥରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଦବା ଆଜି
Okay. Hello? Hello? Sorry.
able to hear us hello
Am I audible? Am I audible?
yes madam yes you are audible
I see. It got interrupted because of the some snag here over here.
yes
The
yes
Wi-Fi
yes
has got
there was
disconnected
little
because
amount
of
of
power failure.
interruption
So I'll start again.
yes
I'll
please
yeah. Let me see.
uh,
My
yes but just to go your
the
slide was
screen is
visible
this
but now your ppt is not visible
slide is not visible. Uh,
no
uh, oh, maybe I'll just stop sharing and share again.
yes
Yeah, I think.
yes please share again
Share again. Okay. Is this visible now?
No, slide is not visible.
Slide is not visible. Okay.
Otherwise, you can disconnect and again join and then share.
Uh-huh. Okay. Maybe I'll
You please you just get out of the
choose what you want to share. Let's see. Okay, I'll just choose what you want to share. I'll share that thing. Wait. Yeah. Is it visible now? Oh, sorry.
no, the slide is not visible.
Now I think it should be. No.
Uh, the PPT is not visible.
One second.
Have you opened the PPT?
Yeah, let's see. Okay, that. Yeah. Now is it visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I can make it full screen. You want me to
Yes.
make it full?
Yes. Yes, please.
I'll make it full screen now.
Yes.
Is it visible now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry
Okay.
for the
Now you can
interruption.
continue.
No, because there was the power failure and the Wi-Fi
Yes.
was
Yes.
not
Yes. Now you
functioning,
can continue
unfortunately.
from my scientific journey. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So just to continue with my scientific journey, so my research has focused mainly in the realm of equilibrium and non-equilibrium statistical mechanics with applications in soft matter and biological physics and quantum Brownian motion, which connects to ultra cold atom experiments. I have been collaborating with experimental ultra cold atom physicists, and decoherence and quantum to classical transition is another of my interests. In addition, collaboratively, collaboratively, I have worked in quantum information, soft matter analog of quantum gravity, and also worked on a strategy for optimal control in pandemics. My current research focus has been uh, in the area of decoherence and response
Previous
function and diffusion.
previous slide, please.
This one, is this
Just previous one. Yes. Uh,
is this
no. The next one. Next one. Uh,
is
yes.
this fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So my current research focus is in the domain of decoherence and, broadly speaking, quantum Brownian motion and diffusion, where I study response function and diffusion in the quantum domain, uh, with a focus on ultra cold atoms, where I collaborate with experimental physicists. Here are some of my recent papers: measurements and analysis of response function of cold atoms in optical molasses. So here there are theorists and experimentalists, both sets in this set of collaborative authors. Um, Rafael Soarkin, Urvashi Satpathy, and myself are the theorists, and the rest of the people here are cold atom experimental physicists. And another set of things that I'm doing has to do with decoherence. So decoherence and the ultraviolet cutoff, non-Markovian dissipative dynamics of a charged particle in a magnetic field. This I've done with Shuraka Bhattacharya, Kaushik Mondal, and that has got published in Journal of Physics A in 2023. And more recently, this year, there is a review article that I've published, Soft and Living Matter, a Perspective, which has appeared in a special issue of the European Physical Journal, Special Topics. And more recently, effect of light-assisted tunable interaction on the position response function of cold atoms. with uh, my cold atom experimental collaborators, and Urvashi Satpathy is another theorist apart from me in this. And we have found excellent agreement between our non-equilibrium statistical mechanical theory, starting from the point of view of quantum Lagrange equation, and the response function measurements that have been obtained in cooled atoms. And just a couple of days back, one of our papers on decoherence, again, some continuation of the work that I had done with Shuraka Bhattacharya and Kaushik Mandal has got published, uh, has got accepted for publication. So uh, actually, I would like to go back once about in the context of my scientific journey. I'm going back to a couple of slides back. So I just would like to briefly say that this journey hasn't been completely smooth, and that is to be expected both for men as well as women. But as one of my colleagues in Bangalore mentioned, that if you think of the journey towards establishing oneself as a scientific, uh, I mean, obtaining um, success in a scientific career, if you think of it as a barrier hopping problem, there is an activation barrier that you have to cross to uh, get to where you are. And that barrier is much higher for women than for men. That's the way it works out. So, uh,
So,
okay, just I will come back to this point again. So I'd like to conclude with a few uh, points that I've touched upon. I've gave a brief sketch of my family background and outlined my mother Purnima Sinha's life in science, gave a brief outline of my scientific journey. In 2023 and 2024, I have been actively involved in the organization of Summer School for Women in Physics at ICTS TIFR. It has been heartening to see a large number of undergraduate women physics students actively participating in these schools. Many of the 2023 summer school students have helped as volunteers for the 2024 school. So, in this particular event, I would like to mention, if we go back to that barrier crossing uh, picture, we expect that such initiatives would help making the barrier a bit less steeper. It would be easier for women to cross this barrier with such initiatives, hopefully. So over the years in India, it's heartening to see more and more women taking up careers in science, physics in particular, both as active researchers and leaders, and hope to see many more women in scientific research in India to set the gender imbalance straight. So, thank you. So, that is all that I wanted to say.
thank you, madam. Thank you very much uh, for traveling along the memory lane. So, actually, we could be knowing about your mother, illustrious Purnima Sinha, and there is a very nice photograph. I have probably seen it in Lilavati's daughters, where your mother, Dirac, and S.N. Bose were there probably, and I was expecting that
That's
photo
right. Yeah.
also here. And
Yeah,
so,
I have not
yes.
included it here. Yeah,
Uh,
because it's quite widely available now. So I thought
oh,
that
okay,
I'll
okay,
give a
madam.
different photograph.
So another thing is that because we are also translating lot of science books into Odia, so why the unraveling that DNA molecule could not, which was translated by your mother into Bengali, could not be published? What was the problem?
The main problem was the the publisher wanted a demanded quite a lot of money for publishing the book, which was not affordable. So it was a bit surprising because one would have expected that uh,
No, my point is that
that should be encouraged.
what is the number of pages of that book in English? Uh, I think at best, what is the number of pages?
I don't quite remember the total number of pages, but yeah, it's a fairly thick book. I mean, it's a paperback.
Okay, okay. So you have the Bengali manuscript with you.
Yes, I do have
Okay.
the
Then
Bengali
what we will
manuscript.
plan, what we will plan, we will also bring out a book in Odia and simultaneously we will publish both the books in Bengali and also Odia. I don't think the cost will be too much because as far as I know, even a 350 pages of book, 200 copies if you are going to publish it, and that too in
Uh-huh,
a paperback, it will not be more than 50,000. 50,000. So I think the money is not an important aspect because that book should come
uh-huh.
both in Bengali and also in Odia. So sometimes I will take that matter seriously. And if at all I am traveling to Bengaluru, I think I will make it a point to go to you, see the manuscript, and because Bengali and Odia are so close, um, so
Yeah,
that we
as languages
uh,
they are very similar.
we can also translate it into Odia. And there are few more questions which the students have written and they have sent it to me. So I think I will take the luxury of asking those questions to you, madam. The first question is,
Sure.
madam, please tell your relationship with your mother as a scientist and a daughter. How she inspire and motivate you personally to pursue your career in science as a mother.
So, sorry, could you repeat the question? I missed some of it.
Okay, okay. So the first part is that, madam, please tell your relationship with your mother as a scientist and a daughter. How she inspire and motivate you personally to pursue your career in science.
Yeah. Uh, so, um, one thing is that one difference I would say between my mother's career and my career is that, or my mother's focus in physics versus my focus in physics, is that she was an experimental physicist, whereas I'm a theoretical physicist. So that difference is there. But the thing is that from the youngest age, I had seen her as a physicist who a working mother and a working physicist. So the influence has been deeply ingrained from a very early stage. And another interesting thing also is that there have been many points of intersections in our interests within physics also, when I think back, because she has worked on clay minerals and glasses, and so in some ways her focus has been in condensed matter physics, and my focus also has been in condensed matter physics and soft matter physics. And one more point of intersection is going from condensed matter to biological physics. That transition has happened in my case as well, because I used statistical mechanics and soft condensed matter methods for understanding DNA elasticity, which is a realm in biological physics. So that similarity is there between my mother's way of looking at physics and my way of looking at physics. And I'm sure there has been influence, clear influence because of when I look back.
Thank you, madam.
And in particular, when she was doing translating this unraveling DNA, that initiative came from the fact that I had brought that book from the library while I was doing research in the area of DNA elasticity.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Now, the second question is, do you think you are privileged in comparison to your batchmates because of your family background?
That's uh, that's for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It has given me a big advantage to come from the kind of background that I've come from. Uh,
Okay. Thank you, madam. Then there are few physics questions probably the students have asked. What is diffusion of uh, what is this? What is diffusion of quantum particles?
yeah. Okay. So you are probably familiar with Brownian motion. So for instance, one example of that, if you take milk, and milk has these particles, emulsion particles suspended in what is water, right? And then these milk globules get bombarded around, and it performs a Brownian motion, right? Or more common example is Brownian motion of pollen grains that you're all familiar with. So imagine a situation where you are reducing the temperature of the system to ultra cold temperatures, and you are also going to smaller and smaller particles, so microscopic particles. Then, then what happens to Brownian motion? If you ask that question, that's what we study when we study quantum Brownian motion. Ask the question as if we lower the temperature, how does Brownian motion work out in that domain? And it turns out when you do the analysis, you see a dramatic difference. So, you would probably be familiar with the law of diffusion. The law of diffusion tells us that the mean square displacement grows linearly with time. So one would have thought that if you kept decreasing the temperature, it would go to zero because the diffusion constant is goes up with temperature. So as the temperature goes to zero, it comes to a standstill. But what happens is actually because of quantum fluctuations, uh, the mean square displacement, instead of going to zero, it goes it grows logarithmically with time instead of linearly with time. And that's a feature of quantum Brownian motion, quantum diffusion in the quantum domain.
Thank you, madam.
And that realized by doing experiments in ultra cold atoms. That's what we are see in the ultra cold atom lab.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Now, the next question is, what do you mean by decoherence? What is the source of decoherence?
Okay. So if you in quantum mechanics, traditionally when we study Schrodinger's equation, typically we think of the system as being isolated. It's an isolated system, but no system is really isolated. So uh, in the domain of decoherence, what we study is that if you have a quantum system which is coupled to an environment, then because of its contact with the larger environment, the coherence that is there in the quantum system gets destroyed. So that's the process of decoherence. Coherence is what enables you to superpose two different states, superposition of states, that ability for the quantum system to superpose states to produce a net state. which is a coherent superposition, gets destroyed because of contact with the environment. So that's what the domain of decoherence deals with.
Thank you, madam. Now, the next question is, what is the difference between soft and hard matter?
Okay, that's a nice question. So, if you think about statistical mechanics, you deal with what is called a free energy. So, free energy has two components. One is energy, the other part has to do with entropy, right? So, there is a sort of competition between energy and entropy. So, hard condensed matter is energy dominated matter, and soft condensed matter is entropy dominated matter. That's a easy way to make a separation between these two domains. So examples of soft matter are there all over around you. When you use your toothpaste in the morning, that's an example of soft matter. And when you deal with it, I think people are more familiar with hard condensed matter because people have studied hard condensed matter uh, from a very early stage. So a crystal, any crystal is an example of a hard condensed matter system.
Uh, my point is that kindly give some illustrations in the sense that because you told that there is a competition between the free energy and the entropy. So as
Energy
we
and
know that
entropy.
entropy, due to entropy, a system evolves from order to disorder. So in case of this energy, that means does it the free energy, does it make it from disorder to more order, or what kind of competition is going between energy and entropy?
Okay, I'll just give an example of entropy dominated matter being an example of soft matter. So for instance, if you take a DNA molecule, which you just look at it from a slightly coarse-grained point of view, think of it as a piece of cord, right? And so what happens is that because of it being embedded in a at a finite temperature, this DNA molecule can sample a large number of configurations, different configurations. And as we know that entropy is basically log of the number of configurations a system can explore. So when we study DNA elasticity, we have that in mind, that it's an entropy dominated system. So it's an example of soft matter.
And the energy dominated hard matter?
That will be like for example, if you take a semiconductor or any crystal, for instance, that would be there. It's an example where we can just uh, we can just focus on energy and forget about the entropic aspect
Okay, thank you,
by and
madam.
large.
Now, there is a question in the chat box. What strategies can be employed to encourage more women to pursue careers in STEM fields?
Yes. So one of the things that I mentioned is this organizing summer school for women in physics at ICTS TIFR, which I have been actively involved in the past couple of years, is one initiative I feel has already shown me from my experience the past 2 years how it has been infusing women at the undergraduate level to get interested in pursuing careers in physics, because the what happened is that last year's uh, participants actually were volunteers in our school this year. So they actively participated and they were basically teaching the next batch. So that's how it's like a domino effect.
Okay.
That's in a small scale. I would say that that's exactly what happened in my mother's family. Actually, definitely my grandfather had a enormous influence. He was like a big banyan tree, but under that banyan tree, my mother's eldest sister did was the first woman to do a master's in economics, and it sort of cascaded down from the eldest to the youngest sister, five sisters. I think I mentioned four of them. At that early stage, they pursued higher degrees in physics, chemistry, mathematics, economics. It's highly unusual, but it all happened on a very small scale. And the eldest sister influenced the next one, and so on and so forth.
Thank
So
you, madam.
this kind of cascading effect is what is expected to happen.
Thank you, madam. Can you please, sorry, can you please go back to the slide where you showed the Bengali translations of the books your mother has translated, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll In fact, this is a very small
Yes,
set
yes,
that I've
yes.
shown
Uh,
because actually
this,
she has done a lot more than this,
yes.
but it's just some
So the
representative.
first one is Amar Kotha, or what is this? The first one, this one?
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, Amar Kotha. It's
uh,
Amar Kotha Satyendranath Bosu. So
hmm.
what happened is that in fact I have memory of going to SN Bose's house. I was about at that time I would have been about 8 or so.
And
Uh,
you have seen SN Bose also.
Of course, yeah, I remember
Uh,
him very well. So we used to go
uh-huh.
to his house in Ishwarmil Lane, and so my mother would go with her tape recorder and
Hmm,
interview Bose. And
hmm,
Bose, in his characteristic self-effacing way, would keep saying, What are you doing? Why are you recording me?
hmm,
What will you do with it? There's no point in doing that." But she would keep telling him that no, I think it's worth recording, and so that's how the interview happened. And she has essentially put together a book which is completely unedited in the sense that it's exactly the way he used to talk has been transcribed in that book with
Uh,
all his
uh,
mannerisms, everything. So
and
it's a special document.
oh, and is that Amar Kotha is with you also?
Amar Kotha, Amar Kotha, that book, whether I have the book?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I do have a copy of the book.
Okay, okay, okay. So that has not has that transcriptions, the interview and all these things, that book in Bengali, has it been translated into other languages?
No, actually, this is one thing that my mother had. I remember she had mentioned to me that if it would be nice if I had translated it into English. I
Yes,
tried
yes,
actually, and
yes.
I found it very difficult actually, because of the some very specific peculiarities of uh, of the language as well as the content. I found it quite demanding. Whereas this Bigyan Sadhanath Dhalai Satyendranath Bosu, I have actually during the pandemic, I used to put some time aside and I started translating. I have translated the full thing, but it's with me. Just I have not published it yet.
Mm-hmm.
That
So the
one I
first,
found it easier.
yes, so the first
So
one is
because
Amar
I
Kotha.
couldn't, yeah, because I
The,
couldn't translate Amar Katha, I said, okay, let me translate this other one.
yes.
That's what happened.
So the second one is, what is its name?
It's called Bigyan Sadhanaর ধারায় সত্যেন্দ্রনাথ বসু. So
Okay, okay,
Satyendra Nath Bose in the context of evolution of science, basically.
okay, 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 okay. And the third one?
Third one is Mono Jaro Bostu. This is Mind and Matter by Erwin
Ah,
Schrödinger.
oh, right, right. So,
Yeah,
okay, okay. So that's also a very great book. Oh, this has
yeah.
been completely translated into
This,
Bengali.
yes, yes. And not
Oh,
only that, she had also translated What is Life by
oh,
Schrödinger
by Arun Scodinger also. And
into
all
Bengali.
those,
But that one,
uh,
that
so
manuscript somehow I don't have with me right now. I
what is
know that
life? What is life is not yet published.
that was not published, but I know that she had translated it. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, yeah,
I,
and
yeah,
you don't have the copy, you don't have the manuscript.
I don't have the manuscript with me. So
But
if I have a memory that
what
she had
about
translated it.
what is life in Bengali? Sorry, what is life has already been translated and published in Bengali or not?
I don't think so. As far as I know, I'm not. I
Okay,
don't think it
okay,
is been translated.
okay. And so you have Amar Kotha, you have the second one, and you have the this mind and matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So thank you, madam. Thank you. It's a very absorbing kind of thing, and I am personally I was more interested in the Bengali translations of uh, late Purnima Sinha's work, and this will definitely establish a link between you and me in coming days because we
Mm.
have translated a lot of science book into Odia and because both the languages are so close and
Yeah.
especially this Amar Kotha has to be
Uh-huh.
translated into English and Odia
Yeah,
and
it will be nice.
I think we'll put some efforts in that direction. So it's a great pleasure listening to you, and I think a lot of our um, women listeners will be much benefited by the illustrious background that you have. So as you mentioned, it was not an exception for you; it was rather a norm, and that is a very great kind of thing. And you are fortunate to be born into that family. So I am so very uh, fortunate and privileged to have interacted with you almost for 1 hour. And on behalf of the university, the outreach cell, I am extremely thankful and grateful to you, madam. Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you. I also heard that you have translated Lilavati's daughters into Odia.
Yes,
That's very
yes,
nicely done.
and Mahesh Kumar of the academy, he just visited 2 3 weeks ago, and most probably, if everything will go right, then the book will be released in Niger, Bhubaneswar, in November 7th. So that is a very great book, and that will be. So I have taken almost 4 years in
Uh-huh.
completing the book, and from there I could know about you, about Purnima Sinha, and lot of other illustrious women scientists. Maybe Vidita Vaidya, if she agrees, she will deliver the 10th lecture, and Rohini Godbole has agreed to deliver the 25th lecture. So this series is going very nicely, and we have got lot of treasures. You see, SN Bose interview is so very. It's a treasure house. So it should be translated both into English and Odia, and so that we can have a peep into the great man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is
I,
the 100th year of Bose statistics, so that's also significant this year.
exactly. You are right. Yeah, yes,
Mm.
yes. So 2024 or 2025?
1924 is when he had written
Okay, okay,
that
okay,
published
okay,
the paper.
okay, okay. Then I think at least before the end of 2024, if we could bring out the Bengali and the Odia version, then that will be a very great effort in keeping the memory of SN Bose intact actually. Uh,
Yeah.
so thank you very much, madam. Thank you so much. Namaste ji, namaste.
Thanks. Thanks a lot for organizing this and inviting me.
Thank you. Namaskar. So the meeting is over now.
Okay. Thank you.